Dr. Mike here. So you just can't shake the winter blues. Well, maybe it's seasonal affective disorder. Stick around to learn more.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, Dr. Crystal, we're going to be talking about some people call it seasonal depression disorder. Some people call it seasonal affective disorder, SAD. Either way, they're interchangeable for us today. And I'm glad we are, because it's not just the winter blues. Right.
That's true. It's more than just kind of feeling a little down because the skies are gray.
Yeah, and maybe you're stuck inside a little bit, you know.
Right. Well, it's a subtype of major depressive disorder.
Right. Yeah. It's a subtype, meaning it has all the same criteria. Like we're going to get into all this, how you're diagnosed and stuff. So stick around for today's show. Plus, we have some, I think, really good suggestions for you. But we know that when winter hits. There's that song. I know Dana Dyer, a writer, wanted me to say that. There's that song, "Summertime Blues."
Yes.
She's like, that's a good song, but the blues are likelier in the dark winter. So we know winter there's less sun. Even when it's daylight, it's less of an angle, so it doesn't seem as bright.
Right.
Right. And it gets darker quicker. We know there's less vitamin D production that happens when it's winter, especially in more northern hemispheres places, right?
Yeah.
So all this stuff goes on at winter. That right there can cause some people to be blue. I'm down a little bit. But for those where it's more severe, and it's happened before.
Right. So for at least 2 years.
Right.
So this is, during the season, or experiencing seasonal depression for at least 2 years, and having more seasons of depression than seasons without depression.
So it's almost like a cycle. It's like winter time comes, I get hit by it, I get a little bit better in spring and summer, fall comes, winter, and you're following this cycle, which is why it's also a subset of bipolar.
Yes.
We think.
Yeah,
we never really cleared that up, and I think that's where it comes from.
According to the DSM, or Diagnostics and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, that's how it's classified.
Yeah. So this is a serious diagnosis.
Well, yes, and again, it's more than just depressed mood, right?
Well, let's go through them. Here's the list. Let's go through that.
Loss of interest in daily activities, feelings of worthlessness, thoughts of death, disturbed sleep, fatigue, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, change in appetite or change in activity. And, unfortunately, significantly, this increases the risk of suicide as well as other health conditions.
And again, these are pretty much some of the same criteria you find in major depression. That's why it's a subset of it. And of course, I think, I didn't look this up, forgive me. So if somebody wants to fact check me, that's fine. I think it's 4 or more of these, or 3 or more of these symptoms in that cycle that we talked about. Yeah. So it's not just one. It's not just depressed mood. You have to have a couple more. And it needs to be repeated. So that's how you get your diagnosis. Let's talk about the cause a little bit. Out of all the stuff we've looked at and preparing for this, some of the stuff we just said at the intro, where do you fall?
Well, so I'm going to go back to your conversation about the fall, winter, less sun. And we know there's a connection between sun or light in the production of serotonin. So I'm kind of falling in that category. That newer theory. I like that theory where, diminished sunlight affects the production, and serotonin, that's our feel-good brain chemical.
It's your wellness one. It's things are good.
Things are good. Things are great.
Serotonin says to Dr. Crystal, you're doing good. It's a good day.
It's okay. Right. So you're unable to produce or even maintain serotonin levels.
Yeah.
And when you think about major depressive disorder, then most of the drugs to treat it is
focusing on serotonin.
focus on serotonin, improving serotonin's availability.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a part of it. I like this. I think it's spot on. But if you're going to make the case of sunlight and a certain thing, I can too, and it's
Okay.
vitamin D. Because
no arguments here.
Yeah, because we also know that in winter, the angle of the sun is different, and it's just quite not enough now to stimulate good vitamin D production in your skin, especially in the United States if you live over the 37th parallel. Remember, I thought it was the 34th and I got it wrong. It's the 37th parallel. And just to visualize, help people visualize, think of the United States, look coast to coast, and draw a straight line through Dallas. It's somewhere around there. If you're above north that line, you're not making vitamin D.
And we know that vitamin D is connected with all sorts of health.
What do you even say about it?
Good health or bad health, however you would like to look at glass half full. But we know there's that association.
I always like to say, because I just like it, I think it's so cool, there is a receptor on every cell line for vitamin D. I think there's maybe one or two exceptions, but it's pretty much, vitamin D is influencing pretty much every tissue.
And we know lower levels of vitamin D have been observed in depressed patients compared to controls. So there's that association. And, Dr. Mike, we're not saying cause and effect.
No, because ultimately we don't know.
Right.
This is all theory. It's all very interesting. I think the theories are good and solid, but we still don't know exactly.
But, Dr. Mike, now... But maybe my theory or my idea is the real deal.
Could be.
Because the sun impacts the production of vitamin D. Vitamin D levels in the central nervous system impact production of serotonin and dopamine.
So vitamin D drops in the CNS.
Right.
Serotonin and dopamine drop in the CNS.
Yes.
There's your serotonin connection as well. So it's not just sunlight with serotonin. It could be also D is the issue too there. So maybe D is just a way to get the serotonin low. And serotonin low, just like in regular depression, is really the issue here. Uh-oh. But we still don't know.
But I mean, these are strategies, and we'll talk about, how can you get more light? Yeah. How can you improve your vitamin D?
To come back to, because right now there is more research in depression in general on sunlight and D. We already know boosting serotonin can help in all forms of depression. That's why you have the drugs. But we kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on D because that's something so simple.
And so
cheap.
Inexpensive.
Yeah. And the blood test for it, just know where you're at in your blood. It's so cheap. So we're going to get into all that. But I do want, and the reason we are, because number one, many studies, but we have one where 235 adolescents with any form of depression received 2,250 units of vitamin D3, and a control group received just 250 for 9 weeks. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to go into all the. At the end of the day, those receiving the higher vitamin D did better.
Yeah.
So that's just one example. And there's one here in major depression disorder, 1,600 units versus placebo. Again, improvement.
Yep. But I would note that last study was a 7-month study. So sometimes you want to make sure you kind of get those levels up and get them maintained and probably not assume that it's going to happen overnight.
You mean getting the vitamin D levels?
Yes.
No, it's
and
going to take
improvement in the symptoms too.
Yeah, I mean the only way to get the D levels up real quickly would be do high dose injections.
You do, and some doctors will do that.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You can, if you really want to get them up there quick, 25,000, 50,000 units, a big injection, and then you go to the oral. That'll get you up fast.
My dad's doctor did that with him.
Yeah, but in these studies, they didn't do that. They just started with the basic pill. Like in that one, 2,200, and the other one, 1,600. Yeah. No, I think, we have to. But here's something we always talk about, though. you should be taking vitamin D every day.
That was the point I think I was trying to make. I'm not sure if I was that clear, but what I saw there, just reading, 7 months, that tells me I need to take vitamin D and always make sure that my levels are adequate, especially if mental health issues, specifically depression, if there's a genetic predisposition or if it's something that I deal with, I need to make sure I have adequate vitamin D.
Yeah, and I think I almost didn't want to do this, but I am, because I think no matter even if you have no risk factors for anything, you should know your vitamin D level. That's just my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I remember doing lectures, and most of the people in these lectures, 45, 55, 60, something like that. You've done it before. Yeah. And I would ask, how many people here know their cholesterol level? And everybody.
Yeah.
How many people know vitamin D level? Like maybe 3.
No one.
I mean, it's like, you want to throw that one in there too. It's pretty cheap. So I think everybody, but if you have some of these risk factors for SAD, women get it the most. Is a family history. If you're living more in those northern latitudes, above 37.
Thank you. I think this was good to go over, Dr. Mike.
Young adults, 18 to 30 are going to be the biggest ones hit. And of course, this is thrown in there, but isn't it really for everything? Genes are involved. That's all it says. Yeah. I don't really know what the conclusion of that was. But so if you're there, please check your vitamin D. But, and this is a big but, check it anyways, even if you're not. So it was kind of a mute point, I guess.
True, but ever more important if you find yourself in some of those other categories.
So let's talk a little bit more about like vitamin D and how much people should be taking then. And let's talk a little bit about blood level.
Right. So RDA is about 600, over 70, 800 IUs. Most people will find that they may need more than that, to 5,000, even up to 8,000 units, international units of vitamin D to reach optimal vitamin D levels. Now, we should probably give some clarification on optimal, because with the RDA amount, 600-800, you may be able to get your levels in the normal range on your typical lab work. But what's considered normal, like above 30, 35 or so, the 30s, I don't have the exact numbers, may not be enough for optimal health.
Of course. Yeah, remember those numbers, RDA numbers, are really about protecting from diseases of deficiency.
Yes.
So if they say 30, 35 is normal, that's fine. You're not going to get rickets. But you may not then get all the other benefits attributed to vitamin D at high levels.
That. You're right. Yeah. That's it. It's the RDA is designed to prevent diseases caused by a deficiency of that nutrient.
Yeah. So when we say optimal, we're avoiding rickets is great, but I want to do more. That's where we come up with these optimal levels.
So it's pretty personalized. Optimal vitamin D levels is 50 to 80 nanograms per mils, 50 to 80 nanograms per milliliters. And that's kind of your goal. More is not always better. We like to, sometimes we think, your vitamin D is so great, I'm going to just take as much as I can, and don't do that. If you're taking a liquid, please measure it.
Yeah.
I have.
Gotta be careful with the liquid.
I've taken our liquid, and even my husband walked in one day and I had the dropper, and I'm like going all in with the dropper. He was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Okay, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't do this."
You got to be careful with that.
So those are kind of some considerations when you're looking at the add-ins and what to look for on your lab work. Make sure if you're above 80, you may need to kind of cut back.
Well, you may just go to every other day dosing, or talk to or just stop for a couple weeks, whatever. And
make sure your doctor's looking at your labs. Let your doctor know, hey, doc, I'm taking vitamin D, so can you just add it to the routine lab work? Insurance typically covers it.
Not a problem.
Easy breezy. Ask for it.
Not a problem. So I do 5,000 a day. I'm pretty. I mean, I maybe if I ever miss a day, I take a break on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just do sometimes. Whatever. It's okay because my blood level is like in upper 70s nanograms per mil, and that's 50 to 80.
That's great.
Right?
Yeah. So that's something now. So we're touched on the vitamin D. That was Dr. Mike's theory. Can I go back to light and just talk about light therapy?
But before you do that, one more thing.
Okay.
Just one more thing. Not about D.
More on vitamin. Oh,
it's
okay.
it's about serotonin.
Oh, okay.
Because if we're also saying serotonin's playing a role here as well. So we just talked about D. What about serotonin? One of the things, I'm not going to get into details, saffron extract.
Oh, yes.
Just leave it
Like
there.
it.
Go to lifeextension.com and look up saffron, and you'll see that it can help with serotonin.
Yep. And then try light therapy. If you're not, if the skies are gray.
Yeah, well, okay, but explain. That's not just going outside when it's a sunny day. Like, what does that mean?
It's not. This includes a light box device that kind of emits bright light to simulate sunlight. And you use it when you wake up 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. Some people a little longer. You want to make sure the light box provides 10,000 lux of light with as little UV light as possible. But light therapy is among the first line therapies for seasonal affective disorder. So I think you do your light therapy,
and
add in the
some
vitamin
tea,
D,
maybe
and
some
hopefully
saffron.
you'll see some improvements.
Yeah, it's so one thing about the light boxes too, I have learned that you look for ones that are certified because they are guaranteed at 10,000 lux and low UV light. I think it's kind of funny because they remind me of my sister's makeup mirrors that they had in the bathroom.
I have one. I have one here in the studio.
I see it there.
Is it the trifold
They
one?
had these ones that opened up, and they would just be doing it. But that's what now those weren't a light therapy, but that's kind of what some of them look. I also saw, because I was curious, like, what's happened recently with technology. Oh, they're smaller now.
Oh,
you can get ones that almost look like little iPads that are not going to understand. But the key thing is it needs to be concentrated on you, 10,000 lux.
All right.
Yeah. So there's different, just make sure it's certified.
There you go.
Light box. I like it. I think it's great. It makes sense. Boosting maybe. And ultimately there's a lot of theories there, but it's helping your, I think at the end of the day, it's going down to serotonin because that light's hitting your eyes.
Right.
And that when light hits the eyes, melatonin up, down, serotonin up.
There you go.
I like it.
And that has nothing to do with the UV.
Yeah, nothing to do with the UV, so it's okay.
Specifically the light.
Yeah, you're not gonna get sunburned.
And the serotonin that's being produced.
That's why it's low UV. You're not gonna. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Yeah. Then there's, of course, Dr. Crystal. Yeah, you have to say the next one.
I have to say it. Physical activity. And that's
physical activity. That's
physical
just
activity. Yeah. Just in general, we're not talking about seasonal affective disorder specifically. Just physical activity. It also boosts serotonin.
In any mood, it helps any mood disorder or issue, even anxiety.
Yes.
Panic disorder, all that is helped with some exercise. And and more, I like the way we're moving away from saying the word exercise.
Yeah.
And we're really just talking about activity because there's many ways to get that activity in. I think because exercise, when people say that, they automatically think treadmill, gym, jog, it limits what people are thinking. But pickleball. Basketball,
vacuuming. I think we did a whole
gardening
blog on that.
Walk for 10 minutes and then go and pick weeds. Seriously, that's activity.
Yeah,
all of that counts.
It does
across the board. Yeah, and of course, if you're doing the things that are like walking, for instance, we know just walking 10 minutes can have a significant effect on your body and mood. If you can push 20, do 20 minutes. If you can push 30, do 30. A little bit more will even be better.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We got to start.
You can take exercise snacks. Remember, Dr. Mike?
And I remember when we first talked about that, I was thinking, oh, she's snacking between exercises now? That's not what it was.
It's the short bursts.
Yep.
So and those can be helpful as well. So
yeah. Okay, there you go. Just some. And then of course, got to throw in if you need a therapist, please go see a therapist.
Well, you should be getting a diagnosis from a licensed professional.
Yeah,
Let's just say that.
And just even if you're feeling a little blue, you know what? You know my position. I think everybody should have a therapist, and they see them once a year, no matter what.
Yeah.
You think things are okay. That therapist will bring out stuff.
I know. And it can be so healing. I think that's something that it's overlooked.
Yeah.
The power of the mental health and how that even translates to better physical health.
Yeah. And if you have to have an antidepressant, take it.
Take it.
I'd rather you not be depressed than not take it.
Take it and take your vitamin D.
Okay. Excellent. I thought this was fantastic. A lot of good information. Don't forget, you go to liveforeverish.com. Over 550 other episodes you can download, like, share. And, of course, we want you to start giving us ranks, stars, reviews. Very helpful. And share.
That's right.
And subscribe. We got a lot for you to do over there.
So you never miss a show. You'll get the note and turn on your notifications for your app, whatever app you're using.
We're adding a lot of things they got to do now.
I know. Checklist.
check this, subscribe here, do that. But you guys know how to do it. They do it all the time.
They do.
So do it to ours.
A new show every Monday. Summary
pops right up.
Wednesdays
pops right up,
and it will pop up on your phone.
liveforeverish.com.
Take a listen.
Our sponsor, lifeextension.com, wants to say thank you. So go to lifeextension.com if you're wanting to shop around, and you put the discount code in
podcast
for $10 off.
10%.
You just say it.
10% off, $50 or more, plus free shipping and handling on your entire order.
You're gonna have to write this on the script again. Remember, you used to do that. She used to write it on the script for me.
Maybe it's there.
It is there.
So lifeextension.com, discount code podcast, 10% off, $50 or more, plus free shipping.
I guess I should start looking at the script a little more. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'm Dr. Mike. That is
Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for listening.